Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Million Dollar Media, and welcome to the return of Anime April. We had a lot of fun doing Anime April last time, and we're going to continue that trend now. Last year was just my senior year of college, so it was very busy for me to schedule everything, and so we had to cancel Anime April, but we're bringing it back. This time it's going to be a bit different. I wasn't able to get a big group of people together, but I managed to get smaller groups together and try to edit together bits and segments. So this video is going to be segmented off by the anime that you want to hear about. So a person will come in, talk about their anime, and then we go on to another person. This is how we're going to be doing it for the other videos this month. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy these segments. We had a lot of fun recording them. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the conclusion. Bye. Million Dollar Media. Million Dollar Media. So Megan, you're going to be talking about a very popular anime that blew up recently, correct? Right?
Yeah, so I was going to talk about Chainsaw Man. I am not very well versed in anime. I've tried to get into many different animes and I haven't been able to get into any but Chainsaw Man. So if you don't know the premise of Chainsaw Man, basically, it's this kid named Denji, and he is at the start of the show, he's very he's poor, doesn't have any money, he doesn't have any parents. And he is half human, half devil. And the premise of the show is that Denji joins forces with a bunch of other characters in the show to basically become devil hunters. And that's kind of the whole show, is them kind of interacting with different devils and everything. And they're also trying to find the gun devil.
What about the show did you like?
I really like the music, first of all. The music in the intros and outros is really good, and even just Kickback is a good song. I really like all the music, especially in the outros. The outros are all different, which I really like. It's a nice feature. It makes each episode kind of, a little more interesting. I mean, I at least stay and watch the outros instead of just skipping them. They're very interesting. They're all kind of drawn differently and in different styles sometimes, and and so that's an aspect of it I really like. I also really enjoy. I feel like there's a lot kind of going on in terms of the dynamics between the different characters, and not all the characters that everyone in the show thinks are good are actually good. For example, Aki, one of the characters in the show, he's I feel objectively pretty good, but we're rooting for Aki. And what was her name? Himeno, I think was her name. Aki and Himeno, they had a past together in terms of they were friends. Himeno was Aki's mentor and everything. But I think personally Himeno is not a good character. She's shown in a very positive light in the show. And the reason I think that, am I allowed to spoilers and everything? Or kind of a spoiler,
how big of a spoiler are we talking about here? Are we talking
It's not huge, I don't think.
Is it just kind of common knowledge between everybody in the fandom?
Probably.
Alright then, sure.
Okay. When Himeno tries to, is kind of creepy towards Denji, I think that makes, and Himeno she's an older woman, and Denji is a 16-year-old.
But wait a minute, is this that, I think I've seen this clip on Twitter. Is that the one where they're in bed together?
Yes, where they're out drinking.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Where they're out drinking and they're both drunk.
Yeah, I saw the dub of that, and that actress, Jesus.
Something that's surprising is that Himeno is shown very positively in the show and is looked like Aki thinks very fondly of Himeno. No one has anything against Himeno towards the end even. So, and that's just something that's really interesting because I hated her. I was you're a weirdo. So I don't know, and there's stuff like that keeps going on, and obviously Makima's objectively kind of a weirdo, but Himeno, everyone kind of doesn't recognize the fact that she did that. I don't know, so there's kind of a lot going on in terms of the relationships between the characters, and how some characters just are not all good, I guess, if that makes any sense. There's a lot going on that isn't positive.
Is it
I don't know if all the characters know about.
Characters in the show, or is this the fandom being we'll let that pass?
I'm not really involved in any sort of fandom stuff, so anything I talk about is literally just the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't really know anything going on in the fandom.
Because I know the show blew up way before, like, even it became a show. Like, even when the manga came out, I remember, like, hearing things about this Chainsaw Man, like, manga, and how everybody was
Yeah.
really looking forward to whenever the anime was going to come out.
I first heard about it because my friend Maria, she brought it up to me. She was like, "You have to watch this. You have to watch this." And that was like over a year ago. I think like fall of last year. But I didn't end up watching it till this year because I just never got around to it. But I really liked it, so I should have just watched it. She was like, "You'll love this show." And I was like, because the thing is, I'm not like huge into TV. Like it's very hard for me to get into a show. So when I do get into a show, I get like,
Hooked.
you know, I'll bit. Yeah, exactly. But like that's why like whenever people are like, "Oh, you should totally watch this," I'm like, "Would I like it?" Because I'm very, very, very picky. You know.
Okay. Yeah, I understand.
And yeah, there's not like a ton of criteria. There's not really a pattern in between like all the shows that I like. I'm just kind of picky with shows, so I didn't watch it until later, but I'm glad that I ended up seeing it.
Now, I have to ask because I know one other thing about the show. I think it's like a thing that's just early on in the series. Is it true like the main character just his entire like motivation is just to like touch some boobs?
Yeah,
Is that like how is that like the ongoing like
correct.
that is
I
it?
don't think it's as bad as like high school DxD levels of like overarching fan service. It's like a real play into the like socio-cultural like mommy kind of meme almost, where that's literally how
Yeah.
Makima treats Denji,
Yeah.
and Denji just eats it up. Like that's
He does.
he's not like screaming at every turn and corner like in a complete fan service anime. It's more like everyone in the verse is unhinged and the world is plunged in crap all the time, and it's just so dark and desolate in terms of like the whole world just seems scummy. And it's just there's like a few of those kind of play-ins, and I think the scene that Megan brought up is one of them. The like drinking like bed scene is another play into that.
Yeah, like pretty much everyone in the show is like hooked on either cigarettes or alcohol or has some or boobs or has some sort of vice. I'm being serious. I mean, it is funny, but
Hooked on
I
boobs.
kind of if you watch the scene.
hooked on boobs. Like no, but if you watched it,
Yeah.
like Denji is very, very, very motivated by sexual things. Like I might even like say that the only reason that Denji and Power like barely tolerated each other because like Power did the thing at the beginning where she was like, "Oh, if you do this for me, like I'll let you touch my boobs," and he did this like some like outlandish stuff.
That is
And
true. That did
yeah,
I think
Huh?
I've seen this clip as well. Were they fake? Is that the joke?
yeah,
Okay, yeah, I saw. Yeah, like I've
Yeah.
seen parts of this. I've seen like the first episode, like where he's just like selling his organs to like just get by barely.
yeah. No, he was not in financial like flourishment throughout the show.
Yeah, didn't he sell a testicle? Or am I just way off?
What?
I remember hearing somewhere that he like sold like a kidney, a testicle. I don't know. I heard that he like sold off so many like just different body like organs and stuff.
I don't know if I got that part of the show. I don't know.
I remember hearing something about that. I was like, what the fuck?
He
is
is
this
eating
show?
like just a piece of bread
That
at the
I
very
know.
beginning. He literally has like a piece of bread to eat. That's like his
He
meal.
had yeah, exactly. He has bread and pochita at the beginning.
Yep. Bread and pochita.
Mhm.
Yep. Unfortunate.
Yeah, I've seen that little. Is it a dog or demon?
It's like he's a devil.
Okay, that thing. That
He's
devil,
technically a devil. But he's really he's so cute.
Yeah, I've seen that devil a lot in like conventions as like little pocket chains. Like, I don't know if you like care about animation by any chance, but if you have anything to say about the animation, like I know it's animated by Mappa. I like what I've seen so far. It looks very smooth and like
Yeah.
fun and exciting.
They switch
really good.
between like 2D and 3D a lot,
Well, yeah, I know Mappa's known to
which
do
is
that.
nice. Like the only thing that I would pick on, and this is only because my friend who's like an artist and very detail oriented pointed it out, and they were like, "Why is everyone's feet so small?" And now I can't help but notice every single time all of their feet are so disproportionately tiny, and it's really off-putting. But That is the only thing. Otherwise I very much like the animation.
I know, Megan, you brought up Chainsaw Man, but does anybody else have anything to say about Chainsaw Man before we move on to anyone else?
I'm posing this to Megan, since Max, it seems like you've only seen clips of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And Eamon, if you want to chime in too. Something that I think is really cool that isn't seen normally. I think it's incredibly cool that the power of the demon is directly correlated with the fear level of said demon. So it's a big point that the gun demon is like an apocalypse level threat, because the fear of gun violence is so high that his powers are just out of this world. And the reason Denji is so much more powerful than other demons is because chainsaws naturally are terrifying. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, other movies we've talked about on the show previously. It's pretty high. Some of the other villains that come in, some of the bigger players, I don't want to spoil too much, but they're also around that cityscape destruction level because of their fear associated with their demon power. And I thought it was really cool to see how that played out in any further seasons, that they will or won't continue in the manga, and watching how that changes. And the bigger your name gets for your crimes and such, how it could elevate your power or lower your power.
Yeah, no, that's something that I also really enjoyed about it. And I think that as you were talking about the power of the gun devil and the threat of gun violence and everything, like the people, the background characters, characters that we don't even know, are all contributing to the actual power of this one devil, and how difficult that would be to actually fight those devils and bring the fear in you down, because the devils sense fear, and that's exactly kind of what they feed off of in the show. Especially in that one episode, I'm trying to remember, not to spoil too much, but the one episode where it's they're in this hotel. If you know what do you know the episode I'm talking about? Yeah, exactly. And so imagine being in a situation where you are scared, because anyone would be scared in a situation like you're about to fight a demon, so it's natural and it's normal to be scared, and anyone in that situation would have a little bit of fear. But to try and suppress something that is subconscious, a fight or flight response, to try and suppress that, go against what you feel you should feel, in order to be able to actually defeat the threat that is posed to you, is kind of interesting, and definitely something I don't think I'd be able to do.
Remember in the hotel episode, in Kobeni break, somehow made her a lot more relatable, hearing her story.
During the hotel part, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love Kameno. She is so ridiculous and for the most part entirely unhelpful, but she is so funny. She's so funny because she is so anxious all the time, and I don't know, I see she's just she's just a girl,
I honestly think it's kind of funny because she's the most normal person in the group, I think, to what you'd realistically be like.
Oh yeah, if I were in their situation, I would be in tears. Absolutely, I'd be crying if I were trapped in a hotel.
And you brought it up earlier, right? Baki, right? He's the
black
hair ponytail.
He's devoid of emotion,
so
crazy.
I think it's kind of funny because you said you don't watch a lot of anime, but I, as self-admit, I do watch quite a bit. Normally, those roles are reversed, in terms of male female, in the Japanese perspective. Normally, the ugly, older guy is kind of pervy, and that's the one we were talking about. I already forgot her name, but she wears the eye patch.
Himeno?
Yeah, Himeno. Thank you. So normally their archetype would be flipped. It would be the old guy with a cigarette, and he'd be really creepy to the young girls in the show, and they flip their dynamic.
That is
where
that
it'd
is
be the resolute, responsible older woman, and they totally flipped it in this one. But Power and Denji have the same they're both kids, and they kind of act like teenagers. They're kind of
they absolutely
victim
do.
to their emotion. So I think it's like weird how even as outlandish as they are, I think they flipped some stereotypes in terms of like character arc, like traits, like overarching traits, but they also did a good job of like making teenagers be realistic.
Yeah, they
as much
definitely
as you
played into
can.
the horny teenager like stereotype, where and like the completely driven by sex sort of thing, and how
Yeah, they took it
like
to
in terms
10
of
for
Denji,
sure.
yeah, they absolutely did, and that was pretty
Because
funny. A lot of like I'm just imagining. I don't remember what episode or anything. I just remember like Denji like lunging toward the devil, screaming like or something like that, and I was like, because that was his motivation, and that was pretty funny, but also just like I think it speaks a little bit to like just how little like Denji has to kind of live for in the show. Like he has no family. He doesn't. His only friends are like kind of the devil hunters and like, but mainly Power, if you could consider her a friend, because Power kind of has it out to get Denji the whole time. So
Yeah, she's kind of a master
he had
manipulator.
Pochita.
yeah,
Denji had Pochita, but then Pochita became part of him.
Yeah. Your guys' points, Eamon and Megan, what you brought up about the fear thing, it made me think of something. It probably seems if you were to watch it in the short clips, like the like over sexualized behavior, but now that I think about it in terms of what you said about the whole fear thing, it's almost like the characters are so devoid of like common sense because of the desperation of what they have to do that if you think about it, like what's a more powerful motivator, like your fear or like your attainment of something that like excites you? Even like in the scene you mentioned just now, Megan, like that's the reason they get over the hurdle is that they just pour all their attention into this like really like hormonal like excitement thing that is above their fear for a moment to fight. At least for Denji it is. And it like actually lets him do his job, as like messed up and weird as that sounds. But if now that I think back to almost every fight in the show, it pushes him over the brink of fear to, oh, I have something to gain from this, so I just got to do it, and then I'll have like my sweet reward. As like messed up as it is, that's kind of how they weaponize it in the show, at least in my opinion.
In Power Zanaki's case, I believe her main motivation was her cat, which is adorable.
Yeah.
And then Aki is traumatic past, and
Yeah.
he has to avenge his brother.
I feel like that's going to be a theme throughout this month.
Yeah, the old brother archetype stays strong.
It was mentioned just like, in a couple of sentences about who Power was before she became a devil, and I feel like she was a very important person that the manga. I'm not sure the manga already went into, but probably later seasons will probably come back to it.
I guess they kind of do it for different characters, different roadmaps, not as much straight that way, but a lot of them were like, this is really a curse and not at all a blessing. It's just a means of survival. It's only really that for Denji, because it was that or be dead, more or less.
Yeah, because Denji couldn't afford to survive unless he was doing this. He's kind of stuck, so this is kind of what he's going to be doing for the rest of his life because he can't really get out of it either.
Yeah. Also of importance to note, I guess we should have said for Denji's background, his dad left him with like multi-millions in gambling debt, and that's why he's broke and selling his organs and eating bread, because he has to pay off the loan sharks, and that's kind of the whole reason he gets into the jam where he has to become a devil to begin with and start doing this.
Okay, well, I was just about to ask if we can like move on to perhaps Zach's topic, because I think we talked about Chainsaw Man.
Sure.
Thank you, Megan, for talking about the Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, see you guys later.
$1 Million Media. $1 Million Media.
So I will be talking about Frieren Beyond Journey's End. The Beyond Journey's End part is kind of important to the plot. So in your traditional isekai anime, a party of heroes goes and tries to, slaughter some sort of big world apocalypse level enemy. In this one, the party of heroes, a priest, a mage, the hero, and like a warrior, all go to destroy the Demon King. the hero is a human, the priest is a human, the warrior is a dwarf, and the mage is an elf. We're following the elf in this story. Frieren is her name. And they slay the Demon King. Before the anime even starts, the Demon King has been slain. And now we're in the era of peace that follows. Most animes would follow the story of the heroes, and that would be the anime. This one took a different approach. So humans in this world only live like 70 years, 80 years, like a normal human would. But dwarfs live a couple hundred, and elves live like millennia. So now that the story's over, you basically, within the first 2 episodes, are at the death of the hero. And Frieren, by all accounts, really, is like a child or a teenager in her years, and everyone else is grown adults or older. Because to her, a drop in the time bucket is a decade. Like, a decade is for, like, something small you would do. Like, look for a flower. Takes you 4 years? Sure, that's nothing. That's like minutes. Because her lifespan is that long.
That's fascinating.
But, yeah. But when the hero dies, she realizes that she never took the time to get to know these people, and they're dying. And she will outlive them. And the only thing that they'll be remembered by is what she remembers about them. Like, there's statues of the party that saved the world all over the universe inside of the anime. But she's the only one she's like a walking chronicle. Like, she is going to carry on their memory far past when they die, because she will be the only one alive to remember these in 100, 200, 300, 400 years. And like what really happened, the rest will be folklore and history stories. And I liken it to how people say that, like, when your dog dies, you were your dog's whole world, and to you, they're just a period of your life. That's like this, but with people. And so the whole anime is that she's basically retracing the steps of her quest, and is in the process learning and remembering things about her journey, and getting and changing as a person fundamentally to learn more about humans and the people she's with, like genuinely give care, instead of just saying that, like, this is a small figment of my time, isn't really worth investing anything into. And it's like her fundamentally changing, and the almost new adventure she's building this time around with the new people she's meeting in the process. Like, the warrior's apprentice is now a part of her party this time around, in retracing the steps to make it to what is essentially heaven. So if you know Greek mythology, the fields of Elysium. So when warrior souls die, they go to a field where they can be... Normal humans can't visit them, but their, like, spirit lives on in their consciousness too. And there's essentially, this world is at the peak of the continent, all the way at the northern tip of it. Imagine, like, the frozen tundra of, like, Antarctica is where you can go to heaven and meet the people who went before. And so after the death of the hero, she decides that she's going to retrace their steps back through their Demon King adventure to go see her friends again in heaven. And the show is 28 episodes for season 1, and she's like not even halfway. And the manga is still being written, so there's a bunch more that they can cover. And that's not even all the manga out currently.
I mean,
so
for a story that sounds as, like, big and expansive and, like, century-spanning kind of story, I would imagine, like, yeah, there's not much. That story's going to take a while to tell.
So without, like, exposing the cool intricacies and, like, the character growth, but, like, there's some really amazing fight sequences for what is essentially a character development based anime. There's some really sick fights and some awesome one-liners in the show. Because at this point in the show, Frieren is 1,000 years old, and she looks like a teenager. And there's a bunch of stuff that goes on in between, but the main premise of the anime is growth and like change and interpersonal relationships, like not in a slice of life style, but a very like understandable, relatable way that I just couldn't stop watching the show. I binged the whole thing in a day. I started at like 10 a.m. and I binged it until like 2 a.m. and then I was done, like, or whatever it was, and I got through the whole thing in one day because I couldn't stop watching it. I didn't want to do anything else. Like, I thought it was so good. The fight scenes come in at perfect points in the 20 episodes to break it up so that you get this nice character building. Like, you kind of relate to the characters, you get to know them and kind of like how they are. So then you can see this switch in them when it's like go time, or like their mannerisms are understandable, or their thought process, and like some really cool, because there's still remnants of the demon army even though the demon king is dead. So they kind of are an interplay in this world, and like the cursed energy that the world just creates from the accumulation of like, you know, bad stuff. They encounter like your thieves and all this other stuff as they go about. So like you get this full world picture of like kind of what's going on, but it's all like every episode comes in where it's like 28 years after the hero's death in the center lands. And so like it's like these like almost like you're getting like a bird's eye view into an adventure, like a D&D campaign as it's going, and everything that's happening and all the intricacies and like the conversations.
This sounds like a DM going back and like looking at all like the character sheets and stuff, like an old D&D campaign.
Right, but from the first person. Like you're getting everyone's first person view of the campaign as they go through it.
Huh.
And it's so well crafted. The story writing is great. The fighting sequences are really well done, in my opinion. They're meant to be like giving a scaling to the world, right? Like how it was for her when she started back in like when it was like ancient Greece style society, to now when it's like a more like, think of like your medieval setting. At the start of the anime, the first human mage is the teacher of Frieren, and now mages are everywhere, and she's literally watched it grow. It's definitely a refreshing, interesting, unique anime this season, because we don't normally get a lot of those. We've been getting a lot of just basic isekais, you know, decent fan service character, and then you do your whole like just go through the original adventure. But this is like, what do you take away after knowing that all the people that you adventured with are now gone?
Well, from what like you're telling me about this show or this anime, it sounds like Lord of the Rings was entirely just the epilogue.
It's kind of like Lord of the Rings in the movies, honestly. You know how like the intro to the first one is that Sauron got the ring cut off, and so we know the whole history of the warring nations. Sauron's been defeated, the big bad's done, the enemy's kind of on the retreat more or less, and now we're in like the peaceful period where we're back to like vying for control. And there's a band of people tasked with bringing the ring to Mount Doom. We're following the Frodo line. Except imagine that Frodo killed Sauron. So Frodo's walking this path twice. But it is to that scale of like the interpersonal relationships are really important. The party and like how people become a part of it and stuff. It's like, you know. But don't do it in an anime style. It's not as dark. It's more lighthearted, which I think actually really adds to it.
Really? I would imagine this would be more of like a darker story.
No, because the world's at peace, more or less, now.
Okay.
For the most part, the world is just allowed to be farmers and, you know, trade and townsfolk and, you know, that kind of thing.
Like, I don't really
it's pretty cool.
Much else to ask because I literally know nothing about this anime, but it does sound very intriguing.
I'll have to show you some of the fight sequences to convince you to watch it.
No, thanks.
I mean, that's all I really have to say. That's without spoiling too much or revealing too many like character relationships and things. but a basic premise of how it plays out. So I think if you're really into getting attached to characters for one reason or another, I think you'll enjoy the show a lot, and you'll find that it really is fulfilling, and you'll wish that it had a second season already.
Oh boy.
Feels like short form shonen if nothing was quite filler, like it had a purpose. It all adds to the compounding character development of Frieren. Like it's all part of her character development. So I like that. I like that I never felt like I needed to skip an episode. I found all the intricacies of the show very interesting, but some people might feel like it's too slow for them.
Okay. Yeah, again, I have no other knowledge of this show, and now you've got me intrigued to want to go watch it, which, I mean, that's the point of why we're doing this month, is to like just talk about our favorite stuff. And yeah, I definitely want to go check this one out. It sounds very interesting. So,
yeah, it definitely is.
So we're going to move on to whoever wants to talk about their next favorite anime.
$1 Million Media. $1 Million Media.
大家好，我叫马恩明. Hi everyone, I'm Eamonn, and I'd like to talk about Oversuit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury.
I know very little about Gundam in total. I know that there's like multiple iterations of like Gundam. Like it's a very extensive timeline. There's prequels, there's sequels that take place in the future, or within the far future. Like just I don't know, but it's all vague knowledge. All I know is that Gundam was like one of the first mecha anime to really make it big, and it inspired a bunch of other animes, some that we've already talked about on this show. But where does this take place, this show in particular?
Just like most of the Gundam series are in the far future. I've seen a few other Gundams, but I haven't seen the entirety of the animes or the movies that I've seen. But from what I've learned is that any Gundam property IP is pretty much dystopian and very dark. However, this Witch from Mercury is on the lighter side. So people pilot these mecha suits that are big as buildings, and they're mostly used for war. However, this show, and I think maybe a few others, the Gundam is a specific kind of mecha suit that's a lot stronger than the regular mecha suits, and it's illegal at this point in time. There's a lot of tension between Spacians and Earthians. They basically wrecked most of the planet and then left, and a lot of people live in space now on different planets. Which from the main character and her mother come from the planet Mercury, which is one of the smaller planets, or it doesn't have many colonies on it. However, in the first episode, she goes to the school that I'm not sure if it's on a planet or if it's on floating base. It seems like an international school where they have Earthian students and students from all the other planets. The main character is Salita Mercury, and her mother is Prospera Mercury. She is very... I'll talk about Prospera later because she's an interesting person. One really good thing about this show is that it's entirely on YouTube. The sub and the dub are both on YouTube.
Okay, that makes more sense.
That's one of the main reasons why I was able to watch all. Sorry, watch all of it. It has 2 seasons, then it's already finished.
Oh, okay.
You start out with a prologue where you have Prospera Mercury's work where they're developing Gundams, or Gundam for medical research. And then they get attacked by some corporate entity. A lot of this show, and I think pops up in other Gundam shows, deals with different companies having the more power than countries. One is headed by Sherik Zanelli, or his father is Goja Turk, and then I think the third one is Rembrandt, or Mjolnir Rembrandt's company. Mjolnir I'm probably butchering her name. Mironine. She is basically the princess of the school because her father is the owner of the biggest company and it has the biggest stock and etc. The main premise of the first season is that whoever beats the current holder of the best pilot in the school gets the title and the suit of the best pilot and also become her spouse or become engaged to her. I think in the first episode you have Suletta, and another part of the show is that any dispute you have or any argument you have, you can legally settle it by having a Gundam match, or like going in your Gundams and fighting on the school battleground. So over some arguments of the current holder Gujaturk bullying someone or saying something mean, Suletta battles him and then she wins, and she is Miroine's fiance for most of the show. And a lot of my friends really like this because when Suletta wins, she's confused about being engaged to Miroine when they're both girls, but Miroine says something like, "Are you that backward, or things are different nowadays?"
Huh.
So a lot of my friends like the representation.
I don't know if that's rare for anime because I don't watch that much anime. So I remember hearing that like Sailor Moon had 2 gay characters, or had a lesbian couple, and then for the dub they had to change them to best friends or like cousins or family or something like that.
I suppose by the end they try to make it they pretend to make it unclear whether they're still getting married, but I think even though I'm not that immersed in the fandom, I think pretty much everyone would agree that they're still a couple, even though they have ups and downs in the relationship throughout the show. Well,
at least it's a realistic interpretation of a couple, and it's just not like, oh, they're well. If I say that, I might get canceled. And I could be grossly get something wrong.
I could talk about the terrorism, I suppose.
Oh.
That might be minor spoilers, but I don't remember.
Why has this become a theme throughout many of my episodes?
Should I talk about the terrorism?
Sure, why not?
Okay. So there's a I guess it's more of somewhat of a subplot where there's a group of Earthians who are basically trying to fight a war against the Spacians, both on Earth, and they have spies on the school as well. And we find out that some of the Earthian spies also pilot their own Gundams, but they have a more negative view on killing for survival. Suletta's and her mother's motto is run back or go backwards, or run away, gain 1, go forwards, gain 2. That's my motto is repeated throughout the show, and it helps her deal with.
Working a cheat code.
Maybe they explain it in the anime what it.
Because it just I was like, is he like doing the up down down left right?
That motto helps her deal with the time she accidentally murders someone. I won't say who or.
So cheat codes against PTSD. Got it.
So talk about Prospera Mercury now. Miorine Ramadan brings it up a few times, how she really doesn't like Suletta's mother, or I guess it would be her future mother-in-law, because she has a lot of control over Suletta's ideology, and Suletta believes pretty much everything that Prospera says throughout most of the show. And so Prospera is considered that she's quite manipulative and strategical in dealing with all the other companies in her secret projects. I can't talk about the extent of her thinking or the reason of her thinking and her manipulativeness, because that is major spoilers.
Is that all you have to say about Gundam? Witch of Mars? Is that what it's called?
Mercury.
Witch of Mercury?
I could probably go on forever, theoretically, but...
Okay. Well, we still have other people here who need to talk about anime. So, if you have any closing thoughts, do you want to say them now?
is one of the more positive aspects of the show, and that it brings warmth to our hearts, is that Suletta and her Earthian friends at the school, they take over the Gundam company and sort of make it legal to continue working on the medical, like the prosthetics and the medical side of Gundam. Even though there's some turmoil, strife with that, they do end up pretty successful with the company, it seems like.
Thank you, Eamonn. Who's next?
$1 million media. $1 million media.
And I feel like I got high off of work. Yeah. All right. So I'm Yen, and today I'll be talking about two animes, Baki / Baki Hanma and Kengan Ashura.
All right. Which one do you want to start with first?
I guess let's go with Baki first. Yeah, since we're on topic, so I guess what do you want me to say? What do you want to know from your end, or do you want to like what you've seen, or
Give me like a quick idea of what the show's about.
Hell yeah, I can, brother.
All right, I know it's about invisible food so far.
What the fuck are you talking about?
What, you don't know about invisible food?
Oh, dude, no.
Okay.
I don't know what scenes you're referring to.
I just know there's a scene in this show where he's fighting against someone, and they just mime eating food, they mime making ramen and slicing bread, and they're eating invisible food, and then the guy just gets mad at him and punches him.
No, I sort of remember what you're saying. I mean, it goes even further than that. I think the invisible food and tea thing is between Baki and his dad.
Okay, well, explain that relationship. Explain that. Is that I heard that's the main point of the show.
All right, so essentially, if Baki were a woman, cut that out because
Great start.
All right, so the relationship between Baki and his dad. Now, keep in mind, I haven't watched the entirety of the anime, and I haven't read all the manga. I finished about 2 of the animes and just looked up spoilers for the manga. But from what I can tell, his relationship with his dad is pretty fucked up. It's pretty toxic. I'm pretty sure his dad literally his mom and then killed her at one point.
Oh, okay. Well, now I gotta bleep that.
Yeah, so he did that to his mother, and then she trains him up to be the way he is, and then something makes his dad snap, and he just fucking kills her.
What the fuck?
But yeah, their relationship is not healthy at all. They're always I don't know, I wouldn't consider beating my dad or getting into fist fights with him as a good or manly thing to do. But apparently to his dad, aka Yujiro Hama, it's a good bonding time. It's better than my dad. So that essentially sums up the relationship between him and his dad.
Mm-hmm.
It probably wasn't the greatest summary, but I mean, you'll see when you watch the anime, or if you watch the anime.
Yeah, I've just seen clips from this show, and I heard it's just really insane. It's kind of like JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, in that it's just weird shit happens and they don't explain why.
Dude,
I know there's a scene where the main character is in bed with this girl, and he looks over her shoulder, or the camera tilts over her shoulder, and you just see his dad on the other side of the bed just being like, "The fuck you doing right now?"
You want to know what his dad actually said in that thing?
Yeah, what was it?
He went off on a monologue and was like, "Yeah, you should do the manly thing, which is to train and fuck. Fuck every day. Fuck everywhere in the house. Fuck in every position you can. Create offspring." He's me, unhinged. If I had no... You know how sometimes how I talk and it's real primitive and shit?
Mm-hmm.
Not Ooga Booga primitive, but you get what I'm saying. Was that racist? Was that racist?
We're talking about the Crudes. That's what we're talking about, the Crudes.
Okay, yeah, you know how I'd be talking primitive, the Crudes or the Flintstones, right?
Yeah.
It's that, and I really, even though his dad is actually fucking, no, I love his dad, even though he's kind of fucked up. He's right. Baki should be fucking training as hard as he can, and then fucking his girlfriend as hard as he can, everywhere and anywhere.
I mean, as long as it's consensual.
Yeah, but that was his whole speech that he gave Baki after he said, that's kind of creepy that you're just staring at me and my woman like that in the middle of the night.
How did you get into the room?
But yeah, but like, dude, even as a guy who watched the anime with all the context, this shit still catches me off guard. All I can say is that you have to watch Baki for yourself in order to truly understand the insanity that is this special little fighting anime.
Okay, so it's kind of like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in that you just kind of have to watch and see if you like it.
Yeah, sorta. Though it's been proven true that if you don't like it, you suffer from low testosterone. Ugh.
All right.
Yeah, that's all I had to say
Okay.
about Baki.
You have another anime? Do you still want to talk about that? Because you did kind of introduce it.
Yeah, sure. Kengan Ashura. It's pretty much in the same vein as Baki, where it's like there's a bunch of crazy shit happening, but I would say it's more toned down, and the fighting is just a little bit more realistic than what's seen in Baki. But only by a little bit, because it's still anime at the end of the day. I think it's actually like those two animes exist within the same universe, if you get what I'm saying.
Wait, what? Is it like the same creator?
Oh, wait, no, my mistake. I think they've done crossover, but the anime that I'm thinking about that exists within the same universe as the fighting anime Kengan Ashura is How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift anime. Surprisingly, those two animes are actually like they take place in the same place.
For real? Wow.
Interesting.
I don't know, but I guess I can sort of see it. I don't know. Yeah, Miko, that muscular dude from the How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift, I think.
Yeah.
Not himself as a character, but his like character's name made an appearance in the anime or manga or something.
Interesting.
Or like there's a poster in one of the scenes that fans saw, and it literally connects the two worlds together. So for all you nerds out there, if you're yelling at me for not being able to pick like the specific scene or chapter it's in, shut up. How heavy dumbbells you lift, nerd? That's crazy.
What else could you tell us about this anime, Kengan Ashura? Is that correct?
Yeah, Kengan Ashura.
Because it seems like you have more to say about Baki than you do this one.
Yeah, to be fair, like with Kengan Ashura, I think it's just one, maybe 2 seasons, whereas Baki, I saw at least a combined total of like 4 seasons of the anime. All I can say is that the plot for Kengan Ashura is pretty unique in that essentially, like how there's mega corporations in Japan, right? They duke out like business deals and shit like that through illegal underground fighting. So each company literally pays to have like
awesome.
It is like I think one company, I don't remember which one, but they essentially hired like a guy from Thailand who was like the Thai king's bodyguard, and he's like their chosen fighter for their specific company. Honestly, it's a pretty fucking epic anime. Like, there's fucking sumo wrestlers fighting in it. There's like cocky American like MMA fighters and like drag queens.
What?
It's crazy. But yeah, like honestly, like you should like if you have Netflix, you should watch Kengan Ashura. I think you actually might like it a little bit more.
Interesting.
Since like it's still like very weird, but I think it's easier to get into than Baki. Because Baki has some like sometimes it has just like disgusting shit in it. I'm not gonna go any further with that, but I guess you'll see what I
watch Baki.
Yeah.
Is it like funny disgusting or is it just disgusting?
It's funny disgusting, but like if you really like think about what they're doing, is kind of messed up. Like it's fun. Like okay, so I'll use a specific scene.
Okay.
You're getting peed on. That can be comical.
Okay.
Like in Kung Fu Hustle, when the main character, the kid, is being peed on by other kids, it's kind of comical in the way they wrote it. Right?
I'm sorry, just of all the things that we've talked about in this episode so far, and what we've set the bar as horrible and wrong.
Oh shit! Yeah.
To then say like, oh yeah, some disgusting shit happens, but it's funny. I'm like, huh?
So in this example, I'm in Baki. Baki's getting peed on. Now remember this: Baki is a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
The guy peeing on him is a 400-pound, 6'8" wall of muscle black man. Who in the anime in the anime is shown to have a penis the size of about like 3 feet long. Like he literally gets shot with a shotgun, and like the pellets don't perforate his like huge pectoral muscles, and then he just has his fucking cock out. I don't remember why he had it out, but like it was out and it was big.
Is it kind of like that scene in Boondocks where it's like
It was worse.
Tom's in the prison shower?
It was worse. It was worse than the Boondocks one because it was fully erect and like ready for battle.
Oh shit!
But you know how they censored it? They made you could tell it was obviously a penis, but it was like the censor bar molded into the shape of his penis.
Well, I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna edit any of this, but okay.
Well, this is the cost of having us on here.
That's true.
And me after my fucking gym session and 8-hour shift.
I did a quick Google search of Kengan Ashura, and the first Google question comes up. Is Kengan Ashura just Baki? Baki Hanma Season 2 focuses on the plight of a feisty fighter in the ultimate battle for martial arts championships. Kengan Ashura is about a dangerous setup where a rookie fighter climbs up the ladder. FX's Baki Hanma and Kengan Ashura crossover will start streaming on June 6th. This came out 4 days ago.
I don't think it is Baki. But I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to drag it out any longer.
Alright, because we still got Miko's anime to talk about, and oh man, he's going to be the one to end this episode off.
$1 Million Media. $1 Million Media.
Rip Van Winkle. That's who I am. Let's see. Anime. I don't know. Like I've seen a bajillion anime. I feel like I don't know. Anime is like really good, but I think manga, for the most part, is the Miko section. I guess the anime. Yeah, and you saw Prison School, right?
Fuck yeah, I saw Prison School.
Okay, good. I'll go with that one because, dude, no, Prison School is legit a classic, and it's like I don't know. I've seen a ton of anime, but like if someone else has seen Prison School, I think that'll make for good discussion. That show's fucking classic beyond belief.
Alright.
Prison School, like, because that and I read the fucking manga all the way through for Prison School. The anime is definitely better though. Like the manga keeps up the quality for like probably another good while, but like at the end of it, you could tell the dude was just fucking done with it. He's like, all right, I'm done writing this shit, and then he slapped on a crappy ending. But the anime though, classic. So basically, Prison School starts with see how many guys are there? There's like what, 5? Gakuto, Kiyoshi, Andre, Joe, and Shingo. They're the first dudes getting admitted at the all-girls school, and fucking immediately they're like peeping on the girls' showers, and they get caught, and then underground student council puts them in jail in the school. So basically they're in jail. And then fucking Kiyoshi, he's like the main dude, but they're all pretty important. And he like he's got like a date with this girl, so he's got to break out of the prison school to go on the date and then come back.
Oh my God.
And him and Gakuto like team up to break him out of the prison school. Like there's so many iconic moments in this show. It's like the whole anime is about like them in prison school for the most part. Like the manga like continues after like their, well, I guess spoilers, they get out, but like I don't know, the show focuses on like the first, I guess, arc or whatever, where they're in the prison school, but it's fucking awesome. Like all the characters are really fucking funny. The humor is sort of like, I don't know, it's more of that like perversion kind of shit, where it's like just that and like the ecchi kind of fan service shit. It's like,
oh, I'm aware of that from this show.
Yeah, it's like it's really over top on that, but it's like the fucking comedy is like no else. Like fucking, there's like so many funny scenes. Like fucking, you gotta put up the clip of like Gakuto shitting himself in the computer lab, so that he can get the audio recording of like the poop sounds to help in their escape. Either that or like what was the other scene? Oh, it's another scene. Gakuto and fucking what was his name? Kiyoshi, I think. Yeah, Kiyoshi. They're discussing how to break out in the prison shower, and fucking Shingo's walking in, and like they're already sus on Shingo because they figure that he's they're like, oh, he knows that we're trying to break out, so they're like, he like walks in while they're discussing the plan, so they're like, oh shit, okay, now we got to bring him in on the plan. But like when he's walking in, like one of them drops the soap on the ground, so he's like kneeling in front of the other one, so it looks like he's giving him head. And Shingo's like fucking freaked out, and then he's like, no, it's just a misunderstanding. And then he looks again, and fucking I think it's Gakuto. He like slips over, so he's like, he falls down, and it looks like he's getting fucking yes. And Shingo starts freaking out, and then Kyoshi and Gakuto, they notice that he's there, and they're like, oh shit, now we gotta bring him in on the plan. So they start like walking towards him, and they're like, oh, Shingo, come in, man. Well, we just gotta talk to you. And then he's freaking out because he thinks he's gonna get included on some gay sex orgy. He's freaking the fuck out. That is like, I don't know, like the humor is like awesome, but then like all the characters are sort of just like their own beast. Like Kyoshi's just sort of he's like a regular dude. He's got his quirks, but he's probably the most normal out of the group. I guess same with Shingo. He's pretty regular too, but he's kind of like, I guess, greaser kind of guy. I don't know. Gakuto is definitely my favorite character in the show. He's like fucking, he's just a nerd. He's obsessed with the fucking, he's obsessed with the Three Kingdoms period in China. So he like fucking, he speaks in a more like, I guess, old kind of way. Like, I don't know how you, I don't know. If Chris were here, she'd probably be able to speak on it better. He's just like, I don't know. They're all kind of perverted. Like he's got his own sense of honor, like I guess kind of spoilery, but like middle of the show, like I don't know, I guess his incentive to help Kyoshi break out, like Kyoshi's breaking out so he can go on his date, but Gakuto, he's got they only come out every like 4 years, I believe, like Three Kingdoms figure, so he wants Kyoshi to buy him the figure while he's out. I don't know, like that whole scene is fucking awesome. There's just so many classic moments in the show. I've said that like a bunch of times, but this one is definitely one you got to experience. It's not, I don't know, any 12 episode anime is really not that long. It's only like 4 hours, I think, tops or something. It's like 20-ish minutes a piece for an episode of anime. I don't know, I would definitely recommend the show. The manga, I would say proceed at your own risk. It's like really good, and then there's like one arc near the end that kind of drags, and then like the ending is just like, dude was clearly like done with his creation. He's like, all right, fuck this, toss it in the bin, I'm done writing it.
I know this show. The two things I've heard from this, or seen and heard from the show, is that one teacher with the massive rack, and the ass versus tits scene.
Oh, dude, yeah, no, that's class. The principal's another really good character. He's the one who brought up that debate, because like the principal is like I guess there's like not like a B plot, but like there'll be scenes with him because he's like the principal of the school, and then the daughter is the president of the underground student council that's got him locked up. So it's kind of like she's like very much against like the pervy kind of shit, but like her dad ironically is a perv. So like there's a couple of scenes where it's like he's into big booty Latinas, so he's got like all that shit. Like he's got like a whole like spread of like pictures, and then he's like, oh, I'm so ashamed of myself. It's messing with my job as an educator and my relationship with my daughter. So like he goes out in the woods and he like buries the pictures of his big booty Latinas. And then he digs them up like later, and he's like, oh, what am I doing? And then he goes out and buries them and puts concrete on top. And then so he's like an ass man. And then like I guess the context for like the tits versus ass debate is like I think their sentence extended or something like that. So like, no, it was expulsion. They were gonna get expelled. And then he went in and was gonna grant them the most he could give them was like a 1 day extra like time bit for their appeal or whatever. And then his test was the tits versus ass, because no ass man could be that bad of a man.
Real.
It's just awesome. It's definitely one you gotta watch.
This
like,
yeah, I've been meaning to watch this one because it does look very funny. I mean, one of the characters literally has like the smallest face on the biggest body I've ever seen.
dude, yeah, Andre, he's a masochist. Like, there's like one episode where like they specifically stop like beating him and then beating the other guys more. So he's just like really like fucking psychologically tortured because he wants to be getting beat, but he's not. And like they try to use that to get him to like snitch on the others, but luckily he does not.
The fuck? I guess I can ask, like, Yen or Eamon, have you seen anything from Prison School?
No, this is the first time I've heard of it.
Yeah, I used to watch it back when I had a Funimation account.
Part of me is just like, should we end this discussion of Prison School with like the topic of ass versus tits?
Oh, dude, are we going into that debate right now? I don't know.
I mean,
I'm
it's
like,
only fair for like. I mean,
I feel like I'm gonna be the outlier here, but let's do it.
all right, who wants to start? Or how? All right, how about this? We say 3, 2, 1, and say your answer. How's that?
All right, we can do that, I guess.
Okay, Eamon, you ready?
No.
Yen, are you ready?
Dude, I'm gonna be out of a job.
Dude, I was about to say.
I mean, Matt, I've already said too much. I had to be more responsible now.
Mm-hmm. How about this? We don't give an explanation for our answers. That way, it doesn't make us look like pigs.
But we are.
Oh, we are pigs, gentlemen. This is Mega Million Media, dude. That's what we're all about here.
It's
I suppose you could.
Dude, the longer we talk about this, the worse we are.
Yeah,
Oh my
right,
god.
let's just get this over with. Let's just do the bit
We're
and move
safe.
on. All right, ready? I'm gonna count off, and we go on after I say 1. Okay, ready?
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Ass.
Tits. Get her done, boys.
All right. Just left us out to dry.
What are you talking about?
You didn't say your answer.
I did.
Oh, we didn't hear it.
It must have overlapped with Miko, Eamon's, and yours.
What's the answer?
I already said it. The viewers will just have to play it at 0.5 speed.
That has been part 4 of Anime April. We are finally back in doing Anime April again. Can't wait to record part 5. That's going to be so much fun. Thank you to all my guests that showed up and talked about their favorite anime. We had some philosophical conversations and some really fun, perverted conversations, all in the context of having fun. If you like this video, hit that like button. Leave a comment on if you have seen any of these animes or recommend some animes that we can watch. If you want to see more, especially in the month of April, please hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to us on Patreon for $5 a month. You can listen to all of our videos unedited. Especially this month, we are going to be having a very special surprise video for those who are on our Patreon. And yeah, that's all I got to say. I hope you all have a great day, and bye.